I didn't see this.
I'm just curious what they deem as, like it's a phrase we use, but if someone asked you like, what is this profession? I don't know, like definitively decide if that's a white collar. I'm just curious.
Well, the old adage was if you had your name on your shirt, you were blue collar. If your name was on the desk, you were white collar.
Rawley, I missed the part where you talked about the mix of Asian population. Could you go over that?
Yeah, I can go back over that, sure. So 80.3% white, 10.4% Asian, 3.8% Black, 3.7% Hispanic.
And what ethnicity does the Asian population garner? Is that also?
So roughly half of them, 58% identify as Asian Indian.
I got a question. I think it's just a typo, but under the average age, it says here that 28% of the population is age 100 or over. When you look down, followed by the GI generation at 28.1%. What is that really supposed to be? If you look at your highlight of this.
Yeah, I'm looking. I don't see that. I'm scanning quickly.
Where are you, Tom? The average age, it says in 42, but it says the largest group is 30.3%, followed by closely by the GI generation, 1901 to 1924 at 28.1%, which I know is not true, but I'm just wondering what that's supposed to be saying.
No, I think that's accurate.
That's correct.
So we have a very old population here. Is the short
Yeah,
of it.
that many people, 99 or 100.
No, it means that's when they were born.
Yeah, but it's 1924.
100 years old.
Thousands of people are.
Oh, yeah.
We'll validate that information and get that out for next week.
So my question is, when was this data collected?
2021.
2021.
Okay, so what is the GI generation?
So this is the information that came along with the presentation from our consultant, I guess a couple of months ago now. What was that, April 23rd? Okay, so there will be a moderate increase in families with children. There are more married couples, 82.2%, than single parent families at 17.8% in our area. Single father families will increase by 2%. There are more divorced and widowed women than men, but more married men than women.
Never married.
Never married, excuse me. Got that important word there. I was median family income in 2021, we already touched on, is 150K, significantly greater than the rest of the state. Our poverty level, 1.7%. This was, kind of shocking that our poverty level was lower, or this low rather. And once again, representing the 2.5 miles around the church. Yeah.
And I think that you need to take that a little bit in perspective. That's based on the federal poverty level. But if you look at the cost of living in Chester County.
Right. That doesn't mean that the only 1.7% of the people have needs. Right. 70% of families are in above 100K. Asian households are the highest wage earners at 130K. Average earnings will increase from 150K in 2021 to 170 by 2026.
That's for a family.
Yeah.
There's a household income. The biggest growth will be in households earning over $200,000 a year.
All of the financial figures are for households, not individuals.
Right.
So mom, dad, and kid.
The average age was 42 in 2021. Will be 43 in 2026. So we're not expected to get that much older. Mimicking the statement, the state. The largest group of those folks are Generation X, which is at 30.3%, followed by the GI generation, and we'll double check that.
It's 0.7%.
That sounds more. Yes.
And if you're doing the work on this. It's called if you go online, it's the Executive Insight Report, page 14. You can check
So
that
that's
out.
the executive. So there are 3 reports containing this information. There's the quick insight, there's the executive insight, and then there's the full insight. What we've sent to all of you is the quick insight just because of lack of time. But feel free to dig into any and all of it.
Please, we'll find those mistakes and correct them.
This is how much is out.
So,
Yes.
so then, since you have the executive one open, what's the second group then? Because if the GI group is
0.7.
what
What's
group is the 28?
It's the millennial.
28% is the millennial?
Yes,
There we go. There's your answer.
thank you for that, finding that correct.
That makes more sense.
Okay, baby boomers?
How much are the baby boomers, Gary, if you have it open still?
Hold on, I'm making correction with my original. What's the baby boomers
Yes.
are for 2021, 17.5%.
The biggest growth in the next 10 years will be persons 65 and older at a 6.6% increase, followed by children's ages 0 to 4, and then 24 to 35-year-old parents. Early and middle school age populations will grow through 2026 compared to the rest of the state, while high schoolers will remain the same. And then here are some items that this group feels important. 62% of them want opportunities to develop personal relationships. 50% are want family-oriented activities. 60% want adult social activities. 63% want holiday programs and activities. 77% want warm and friendly encounters. And then 60% of them want traditional worship experiences. So today was to wet your whistle a little bit on some of the information. Your homework, if you will, for next week will be to take a look at the quick insight report, which is this here. And next week, you guys will come with your questions and comments, and we'll go through the quick insight report.
We're not gonna be here next year. Next week, I'll be here next year too, but I'm not gonna be here next week. Can I submit questions for answers?
Absolutely. Well, we can do it to me, or do we want to do it to the office?
So maybe direct it to the office and then we'll check in with them for
Yeah,
accumulated.
absolutely. And then that way you can follow up with the Zoom.
They can send
And-
those questions to Rawley.
You want them to come to me, not the church? It doesn't matter to me.
No, I mean, send them to the church,
Yep,
and then they can get them to you.
correct.
Can I suggest maybe generating an email just for this purpose?
For questions?
Well,
Yep,
just rather than questions to you or questions to the church, that way you'll be able to isolate the questions that are specific to this purpose compared to anything else you get or anything else the church offers.
absolutely. Yes, ma'am.
Can we have a sign-up sheet for people who didn't register before today? I want to get on the list.
Okay,
There may
tell you
be
what,
others who want-
yeah, I'll create one. We'll take one of these and just write down your name and email address, I guess. All right,
Give me an idea of the boundaries of the 2.5 mile radius.
oh, good Lord.
Oh, that's on
It's
the-
from-
it's on the- okay.
It's on the map, yep.
Okay.
It basically goes from the western edge of downtown to Route 202, north of the Epsom intersection to just north of Western. So it's that circle.
And in this 2.5 area, 2.5 mile area, there are obviously far less churches to quote unquote compete with than if we had gone to our actual area, which is much, much wider. So there was a reason why we stuck with 2.5 miles. And again, if you look at that radius, that's still a pretty big area.
and 27,000 people within that area, right? So we would be very convenient to those people. Being one of those people and lazy and always late, I find it beneficial to be only a half a mile from the church.
And the farther we go out, the more watered down these specifics become.
Yeah,
So who really are our neighbors?
About the information, how is it compiled? Was it census?
I think it was derived from the census information.
There's several different,
That, yeah, well, yeah,
interrogations, if you will, of the data. But the census is a part that they start from. But there's a lot of other questions that are not involved in the census.
I believe most of the demographic information has come from the census and the trends thereof.
Well, I find it very accurate, what we're experiencing attendance in the preschool. here.
Sure, I would imagine it would be.
Diversity and family income.
You can see better the diversity of the preschool compared to the diversity of the congregation.
Exactly, it's very different. Do we have a breakdown of data for how many people in this church live within this 2.5 and outside of the 2.5?
So we do, but I don't remember those results.
Yeah, I can dig them out right now. We can make sure that gets I would say that it's something like a number, and I'm just remembering just kind of a number, it's like about 58%. Within that.
I was gonna say 60, so yeah.
We're basically a community church.
And a lot of those people that live on the outside, and we have this data too, I don't know that we'll have it for next week, but maybe we will. Yeah, are people that started close by and ended up moving out for what, and stayed out and stayed coming here.
At one point, if you go all the way back in history, it was just the neighborhood right here.
Yep.
The road.
Oh, yeah.
Just a quick note before I leave. I apologize for my lateness today. Rawley is doing the basic demographic insight report information. In July, Bob will be doing the stuff that specifically relates to ministry. What are people looking for in a church? What do they bring to a church? You're getting a touch of that today. And then in August, I will be looking at some of these focused demographic groups and what they are about. Well, how they raise their children, what values they raise their children on. So yes, some of it comes from the census. Much of it comes from like Experian, the credit company. They do a lot of research, and so do some other companies. So this has been gleaned. MIssionInsite has been used by churches for years and years. Used it in my last church, and it allows us, because we have big hearts, we want to do the right thing. It allows us to say, so if Jody comes up with an idea, I think we should do this, and it's a great idea. But the research shows there's nobody in our area that wants that. In the old days, we would have just gone with that great idea.
Yeah.
And wasted money and time and gotten people upset. And, now we can at least look at it and say, yeah, that idea of Jody's really holds promise, because look at the number of people who are into that. So it helps us tailor without making some mistakes in terms of we're limited people and we have limited resources. So we subscribe to this service, so it costs us some money, but it's gonna, I think, save us some money. And if I, again, keep using economic terms, it's gonna make us some money with the people who are coming, as we're able to give them the things that we can best give them. Again, we're not gonna be doing things that we can't do, right? We wanna take the best that we're about, that we like to do, and bring that to them. So they're getting their needs met, and so are we.
This kind of information comes from like all sources. And if you think about it, marketing or anything else in the area, once all this data, I mean, Amazon, everybody is tracking data and information. So there's a huge amount of data out there. This MIssionInsite just carves out that and sort of culminates it into a report.
And I work in commercial real estate, and this data is dug deep every day for various things. I happen to work for a national pizza company building new stores, and we're looking for the demographic of people that, enough of them that could support a store in an area, which is not too different than what we're doing here, except we're not selling pizzas here, right? So, and today, I mean,
If they want it. Maybe we'll get rid of coffee and do pizza.
I can do that.
We've talked, we've offered.
We have. So today is just really a teaser, and next week maybe a little more in depth, but really I encourage each and every one of you, as boring as it may sound, to dig deep into this data. You know, really understand where we're at, because this is all for your information to help us guide the church for the future. Questions? All right, we've got a few minutes. Why don't I just touch base on the quick insight report real quick? All right, a lot of this is graphs and representation of in that nature, which is why I want to wait until next week. But it does show you the mission field of 2.5 miles right here, so you'll be able to have those specific borders as you're looking through. It does give us some expected changes, color coded for certain categories. Others are bar graphs. That bar graph is the population of households. So this is how we came up with the information we did, looking through the executive insight, the quick insight, and the full report, gleaning information. I'm not going to go through each and every page. That this is really one of those deals that you need to look up, look in front of you, and we don't have. I was thinking there was some. I was remembering the wrong report. So questions?
So if this is a question better for next week, that's fine. So what is our long-term objective of using this data? What is this data going to ultimately lead to?
Help making decisions at the church.
Okay, with what?
All aspects.
Well, really developing the vision.
The vision. Yeah,
So
fair enough.
we can do all kinds of work, but to know where we're headed, we have to have a vision. We've got a mission. The mission statement has been around for a while, but the vision is for the foreseeable future, whether that's 3 years, 5 years, we don't know. But this will help us develop the vision of what people we're looking to reach, how we're looking to reach them. Because then when we do that, then everything else follows. If we don't, right now we have multiple committees, kind of doing their own thing. When we have a vision, we'll say, well, does what you do fit the vision? Again, we don't waste money, we don't waste human resources. And so this work really helps us develop the vision, which then everything else flows from. And most of us who have been in business or academia know that you need a vision, and even in our own families.
Well, I think also too, though, one of the things that was brought up when we had the Saturday meeting with the consultants. Yeah, thank you. The fact that we have so many ministries, we are spread so thin. And the focus of those, quite honestly, this is what I personally pulled from that. The mission, what we're doing is what feels good in our heart. And we all feel very passionate about those things, but it does not speak to our community being this 2.5 mile radius from our church. And so we are not pulling in any new members from all of those efforts. No one's saying that they're not wonderful and they're not where we want to put our money, but we're not growing our church. So we need to right now kind of refocus and grow our church. That doesn't mean that we're getting rid of all of those other things, but we have to refocus ourselves on what things do we offer that will pull in new members, because quite honestly, our church is aging out. And if we don't, there won't be a church left to service.
Well, then, that's the objective. The objective is not,
To know your neighborhood.
That's not the vision. The vision is a future looking thing. So if we get to know our neighborhood, what is it we want to look like in, let's say, 5 years? That would be the answer to what your vision is.
It's not to say everything would be focused only within that 2.5 mile radius. I mean, we'll have ministry and outreach that goes well, but it's just how do we understand our neighborhood?
But it's restructuring what we do offer, or we do have to pull in. Quite honestly, we can't sustain all of the activities that we currently have.
Don't
going on.
forget Jesus' mission. And that's what we often do as congregations. We know what our mission is. We're going to develop a vision, but the mission is to make disciples. And all of this, the vision of Grove Church, the vision of Grove Church that we're developing are all geared to Jesus' great commission. Go and make disciples. So that's the ultimate. Some churches do away with the mission statement and just borrow Jesus. Not a bad idea. But we still need a vision for the foreseeable future.
And then this dovetails into that by helping to educate and let you know about the resources that are out there to, give your votes to help direct that vision, create that vision through the discernment team or whatever venues they're creating.
Just wanted to add to what Pastor Aaron just said about the Great Commission and making disciples. And so this information is to work for the Census Bureau.
I can't hear you.
So this information that we have now, part of it coming from the Census Bureau, as I used to work for the Census Bureau, is really digging in to find out not just what or who's out there, but what are the needs of people. So that's what Jesus did. Jesus wanted to find out what were the needs of folks. So he healed folks. So he had folks that he was teaching. He had folks that he fed. Wherever he went, there was a multitude. So you're finding out with all of this information also, what are the needs of folks? Folks are going to come where their needs are being met. And if their needs are not being met, they're not going to come. So as I looked at your information, that's what some of this information is giving me. And I just want to just applaud all of your work, because I would love to get every church on the district doing the same thing. Because this is what it's really going to take to move this really right to the right.
I was gonna say, some of these missions are easy that we have. Because you go to the food bank and you work and you come home, and it's a superficial. And what we are going to need to do is going to be hard. Because we're going to have to reach out with God's love and get new members. And this is not easy because, it's easy to be on a superficial level, but this means we're going to approach people in a new way and say, what can our church do for you?
Absolutely.
And become their friends. And I think, we need the help of the Trinity.
We do indeed.
Oh, yeah.
I think what helps to think about it a little bit too, one piece of this is our community. The people, what can we do to have those people want to come to go to church? That's one part of it. What that group decides to do for mission and outreach can be something totally different. So
Yes.
it's a more complex arrangement that we're talking about here. One is to understand your neighborhood, what needs do they have, and how can we minister to their needs in their local neighborhood. What that group decides to do with our resources and efforts for outreach could be anything.
Or what we decide to do as they start to join and change the face of our church. Right, because we will change as they join, we will change, and we might decide that we're keeping with a lot of what we have, but maybe just narrowing the focus a little bit so that we can go deeper. That we can, I mean, my guess is that every single person in this room volunteers for something. And probably multiple things, because we are all the same people are over and over and over again showing up. And we need more people to be able to lighten that load.
We need an energy too, an excitement. It gets one group working with another group. It's complex. It's not easy. This is just getting information to help everybody understand.
We're here to try to give you the information to help you understand, formulate your opinion so that they can be lifted when times are, when it's time to make decisions. So we're starting off with general demographic information here. Who's in the 2.5 miles? 2.5 miles, very easy for us to get to. We already mentioned Rawley's lazy. So likes being close, and I assume most folks do. And
I thought it was Rawley likes pizza.
Rawley does like pizza. All right, that's all I've got.
I'll add one last thing, Rawley, and I appreciate this, everybody, I know it's gonna be the finance, nuts and bolts of it. Leading off her inquiry there, the analytics are great, and Bob did a tremendous, and a whole bunch of other people did a tremendous job. They're great as a guide, right? We gotta use these to our advantage, that's what everybody's talking about, that's great too. But ultimately, to our point, as we said, as we do these things, we do need to grow the church as well and grow our membership. Otherwise, we die as an end. Everybody knows that too, right? I mean, we're not, we're all adults who don't know what the bottom line is, right? So that's the trick of it all, right? Is get everything focused and then draw in new help to your point there, is like, that's what we need to do, right? That may not happen to me, it probably won't happen to me, but.
No, we're not talking about creating something that's going to change tomorrow. Maybe the management structure will be in the most visible and shocking change at the beginning of the year, right? But we still are the people within the church, and we need to focus what our efforts look like. Because honestly, if we keep doing the same things that we've been doing for the last 30 years, we won't have a church.
Well, and none of these changes that are coming are going to be, I mean, we are voting on these things. We are making a decision. These are not, someone is not sitting there telling us what we need to do. I mean, the way I kind of took, especially the discovery meeting, is here's the information, and we came to our own conclusions, and our conclusions were we need to make changes.
Agreed. And this is the next evolution to that, which then keeps growing from there.
Visioning weekend is where we collectively, Grove Church, will decide what we want to do and how we want to move forward.
That's in September, is it?
Yeah. This is sort of building up to that. Getting
Yep.
information out so that people- It's Vision Weekend. I don't think that. It's like Discovery, but this is more of the vision after having gone through the Discovery and started.
Has a date been chosen? Yeah.
I think so. I'll get that for next week. I don't, that's not part of my purview, so I don't know that.
I think the dates are out there for the July 2 sessions and the August.
Yeah, I don't think a date was selected for the vision.
Okay, you don't, okay.
It's down to 2 weekends. when we split that.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your time today. I appreciate it.
Okay, Rawley, I need to sign up. I'm gonna sign up.